Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Content Collective community. This is our meetup for December, the art of travel logging. Let me just start with the quick introduction of the community. I'm Bhumika and Reuben here, who's also on the call. We are the founding members of TCC. So TCC, for those that don't know what TCC is and how we started, I'll just give a short introduction. So TCC is a community for content creators to connect with each other and learn and grow collectively. We just completed a year a couple of months back. The reason for starting this community is during the pandemic. I mean, a couple of since last couple of years, there's been a boom in content creation and content creators. So, but there's not really a dedicated place or space where all of us can come together and nurture ourselves, by sharing ideas or knowledge or resources. A lot of this happens individually, like on LinkedIn. On people do it by themselves. So we thought, actually, Ruben thought, why don't we just bring them all together, just give them the space? So this is why we started, and we've been growing steadily for the last 1 year. The and we have one simple goal. So content creation is a very vast space, and we want to help those involved in content creation explore different types of content or different ways of doing content and learn and grow. We are doing this one meetup at a time. So let me just call Ruben here to introduce today's speaker. Ruben, over to you.
Thanks, Bhumika. Thanks for that introduction of the Content Collective. Just to set context, we started at two members, which is basically Bhumika and me, and now we have about 160 or more members who have joined us. So the idea of this meetup is basically to get people who've spent a considerable amount of time in their profession related to content to share their experiences and talk about what they've done. So our speaker for today, Hazel, uh, is somebody who has been in the travel space for almost 2 decades, and she has traveled to. I was just asking her before the session how many countries have you been to, and she's traveled to about 20 plus countries, which is something that many of us will take probably a lifetime or even more to cover. So she has a lot of experience in travel, not just travel writing, but also travel, how to get from place A to B, what to do in a particular place, etc. She's written a I mean, she's been a journalist and working with travel writing and travel journalism in various facets, and she's worked with publications like Indian Express. Right now, she's working as an assistant editor with Travtalk, which is an industry publication, and she has seen a lot of the space evolve in the last couple of decades, and especially with social media and the way things are right now, it's a huge change from when she started off. So today, Hazel will be talking us through the wide gamut of travel logging and travel writing and travel journalism and anything in that space where she spent some time obviously gaining experience. So I personally am looking forward to that, because Hazel's also a dear friend, but we very rarely get to talk about her work and her experiences. So I personally am looking forward to it. So thanks, Hazel, for doing this, and I'll pass it over to you now to take us through your session.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Ruben. And congratulations to the entire TCC team for 1 year anniversary. I think that's an amazing accomplishment. And I hope to see many, many more years for TCC. And maybe I can come again in the next couple of years when I've traveled some more. Anyways, You guys must be thinking, why am I, joining this session, and who is Hazel Jain, and why would I listen to her talk about travel? So the disclaimer here is that I'm really no expert. I just know a few things because I've been part of the industry. So I'm just here to share a bit of what I know. Honestly, there are no rules to how to travel or how to write about traveling. It's your own, style of traveling and writing, and then you just, you go with the flow, and um, you just write the way you experience that particular destination, and all of us experience destinations differently. So yeah, that's the disclaimer. um, you create your own method. I'm just going to share some of the things that I have experienced and that I have learned over the last few years. So this presentation is just to give you an idea of what it is, like a peek of how to travel and how to write about traveling, and you can just build it from there. Also, I would like to make this like an interactive session. So please feel free to share your feedback, your comments, your questions while I'm presenting. Absolutely no rules to that. So yeah, let me get on with the presentation. So I'll be talking about the art of travel logging. Before that, I want to just say a few things about what I'm going to cover. I'll start with my background of what I have done so far. What is the objective of travel logging? Different people do it for different reasons. How travel logging or travel writing has evolved. I'm not using travel writing because uh, showcasing your travel, your journey has evolved so much that it's not really only about writing anymore. So hence I prefer to use the term travel logging. What are some of the must-haves of travel logging? Although there are no rules to how you should do that, but there are some broad, highlights or some basic things that you can keep in mind to make your travel logging even more interesting. And I'll end with some of the ways you can specialize in terms of how or what you cover. Um, yeah, and then we'll end up with Q&A session. So a little bit about me. Like Reuben mentioned, I have worked with Indian Express. Again, they had a travel magazine. Not many people know because it was a B2B travel magazine and it was only for the industry. So it was not on the stands. They closed it down, unfortunately, a few years ago. But right now, I'm working with another similar magazine. It's a B2B industry magazine, and it talks about the business of travel. So again, not many who are not part of the industry will know about this. We are one of the oldest B2B travel magazines. We started with print, of course, 35 years ago. But we obviously, with times, we evolved ourselves, and now we have a digital medium as well, where we do videos. We're on social media. We make like 2.5 minute episodes and share it with our subscriber base. Just to give you an idea, if you can see on the left is the cover of the latest issue of Travtalk. Here, as you can see, we've covered the much talked about height G20 meetings that are happening all over India. We cover a lot of state tourism boards. Like you see, we've written about Goa. We do a lot of business interviews, talk to a lot of ministry representatives, Ministry of Civil Aviation, state tourism boards, international tourism boards. So, that's a whole different side of what we do. Usually people know about Lonely Planet and Condé Nast, but there's another side to travel writing, which is this. I also want to show you an episode of one of our episodes. It's called traveltv.news. And please bear with me. It's about 2 minutes long. So you may find it a little bit boring, but please bear. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah.
Hazel, have you played it? It's not showing. Okay.
Sorry?
Hazel, can you go to the video? I mean, we can see the presentation right now.
Oh, I am at the video.
Okay. We can see
Can
it
you?
right now,
Okay, good.
but we can't hear the audio.
Sorry?
We can't hear the audio for some reason. Is it?
Oh no, it's full.
Okay.
Should I just skip the video then?
Just try playing once. Let's see.
It's okay, Hazel. You can play the video. At least we'll see the text.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so that was, sorry, that was a bit of what we cover. Going to the next slide. Let's talk about how travel logging has evolved over the years. If some of us may remember, we were used to long form travel articles. Anybody who has read National Geographic will know that their travel articles were at least 6 pages long, if not more, with photographs. That we have come a long way from there, from long form articles only in print, which is magazines and newspapers. We've gone to short form articles in print as well as websites. Of course, on websites, we started with long articles and then later realized that the best way to write on websites is in shorter articles. It went on to very photograph pictorial articles where the text was minimal and photographs or more. And now we have videos. And of course, with social media booming, we don't just have print and website, but also social media like YouTube. There are video logs, there are YouTube stories, there are Insta reels, so what have you. So we have seen travel logging evolve quite a bit. Sorry. What are some of the prerequisites of good travel logging? What makes for a great travel story? Of course, great writing skills, not great, but like at least decent writing skills where you can communicate your thoughts, your ideas, your experiences. That really helps. There is a huge scope for creativity. People think because it's non-fiction writing, you cannot bring in creativity, but trust me, travel writing requires like a lot of creativity. You can make it, you can write a boring travel article, which is yawn inducing, or you can make it fun, interesting, funny even. The art of storytelling cannot be, undermined. Travel writing is basically you telling your story while of traveling to a new destination, whether it's India, whether it's just a nearby place, whether it's Bombay or your own city, it doesn't matter. It's the way you tell it, right? Curiosity goes a long way. If you're not curious about something while you're traveling, while you're living in a city, it's very hard to get or zoom in on a travel topic. You can zoom in, but if you don't have curiosity, you will not ask questions, you will not meet people. And meeting people is one of the main highlights of traveling, I would say. Curiosity is a must. Of course, you need to bring in credibility and authenticity. It needs to be your own story. And readers can always gauge how credible or if it's plagiarized or if it's somebody else's experience. You need to log in your own experience your own way. Great photos always help. It gives a really clear idea of what you're trying to show and share with the reader, and the readers will know what exactly you're talking about. And it also inspires them. When they see great photographs, it's always an inspiration to go to that particular destination. So once you've inspired your reader, your job is done. Funny and entertaining. I have read travel articles which are extremely funny, extremely absorbing. You don't have to, like, it depends on you how interesting and entertaining you can make your writings. Of course, you have to be well researched. You cannot be, superficial in the way you're talking about the destination. If you're, for example, if you're talking about a destination like Cambodia, you need to do your, research before you travel and while you're there at the destination, and sometimes even after you come back. So from basics, like what is the visa process, what are the airlines, what are the air connections that you can take, from visa fees, or where to go, how to travel from one place to another, everything. Your article needs to inform the reader while entertaining them. So it's not an easy job. You have to have links to key resources like, again, visa information, or places to eat, best place to, for example, go partying, or the best vegetarian restaurant, or the best place to do activities, where to book your activities from. These are some key practical information that you can add to your story, and it will just be that much more helpful to the reader. Have news and updates. Since COVID, everybody knows a lot of things keep changing. Of course, now we've stabilized a bit, but still, even on a normal day, there are lots of changes, updates, new things to do in a destination. visa updates. What is the, if there's a lag in visa processing, you need to, add all that practical information and news and updates so that people know that you are on top of everything, you do your research well, and it adds to your credibility. You have to bring your own perspective. A lot of, like, what would differentiate you from other writers, right? It's the perspective that you bring to the article. Everybody can write about, oh, this is a really good beach, or that is a really good beach that you can go to in a particular destination. But when you bring a different perspective, you write about these small hole in the wall places around the beaches where you can get the authentic feel of the place, or the best place to eat around that particular beach, or the people that you meet who work around that beach, something like that. Like, you need to bring a different perspective, what you thought of what that beach does to that particular destination. It could be anything. You just have to, like, be curious, have your own perspective, and add to that story. And of course, being a good traveler always helps. It makes that your article that much more interesting. I'll go through some of the general rules for travel writing, but the best thing to
Hazel,
do
just a
is,
second. I think Rashmi has raised her hand. So if you want to take the question now or later.
oh, sorry. No, I can take it now. Go ahead, Rashmi.
Okay, I think she
Rashmi,
got
are you
signed
there?
up. No,
Oh, okay.
I think she just joined. Rashmi, you had raised your hand. Please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I pressed that by mistake. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. Please
No worries.
share your question.
Yeah, so there are some general rules for travel writing, but the best thing to do is play by ear after you learn these rules. So the best way to write your article or your travel experience or your travel log is write in first person. It adds a lot of authenticity to your article or your story. Tell the story in past tense, but again, you can also tell it in present tense because it makes the reader feel like they are reading it as you are traveling. So there are no rules as such, but these are the basic rules that you can start with and then evolve from there. You can be conversational in tone. It keeps it more casual and fun and a little bit less boring. Add some sensory details like the smell, the taste of food, or what you see. Of course, your vocabulary needs to be good so that you can describe things well, because again, the only thing that your reader can see is what you write and the photographs. So yeah, give the reader value in some way. Again, like I said, add some practical tips, add some practical on-ground information which will help them go forward if they do decide to travel to that destination, and then make it relatable to the audience. Oops, sorry. So while you're traveling, how do you document your travel so that you are able to write a good, well-informed, holistic article? I never travel without a pen and notepad. I always have it on me. It's not even in my check-in. It's like on me, on my person. It is so helpful. Like, you can write down any small detail as you witness it, as you experience it, and it really helps, because after you come back, even if it's a short trip, you tend to forget a lot of these small details. So when you are back, you're in the midst of the thick of everything, everyday life. When you sit down and when you have to start writing, you actually go blank. And because there are so many things you want to say at once, when you make notes, it's as you have experienced it, and then it's easier to have that recall, and then it's easier to put all that on paper. Ask for business cards and contact details. While you're traveling, you're meeting a lot of people. Most of them are quite interesting. It always helps to either get their business cards or ask for their email address, so that when you come back, you don't have to rummage through or go on the internet and look for them. You have easy access to them. You can get more information for your article, because there are always a few things that you forget to ask at that time, right? Because you're experiencing everything that time. So in retrospect, you have a lot of questions which you can ask after coming back if you have the contact details. Ask for social media handles. Of course, a lot of people, like if you're using social media as your medium, then it always helps to tag them, and it helps them as well. Photograph everything. I carry a DSLR and of course your phone camera. DSLRs are good because it gives you really high quality photographs. Sometimes when you don't want to lug around a DSLR and you want like quick and dirty photograph, like sorry, not dirty, quick photographs, you can just pull out your phone camera and take. But I always carry a DSLR. And while I'm talking to people, sometimes the conversations are full of so much information. I often record audio with their permission, so that when I come back, I can listen to it again and take the information that I want from there. I'll talk about a little bit about the kind of travel content that you see today. Websites and blogs. Of course, BBC Travel, I highly recommend going through this website. They have amazing content. It's like they have a hyper focus on topics, on destinations. They don't focus on destinations. They zoom in on one particular thing in that destination and do a really good job of it. Very diverse, very interesting. Another one is Exotic Gringo. It's not very well known, but it started by this guy called Kaushal, and he started with the idea of focusing only on one particular continent, which is Latin America. But of course, over time, he has diversified, because you need a lot of content to keep adding to your website. And he has now diversified into Asia, Europe, and he even writes about India. So it's tough to get content and populate your website or your blog constantly. So you always have to. So it's always better to not stick to one particular topic or a destination or a region. It's always good to diversify. But then again, if you want a very niche audience, then it's the best thing to do, to focus on something very specific. There are lots of interesting vlogs. One is India in Motion. This guy only talks about Ladakh. It's pure and simple Ladakh. It's the best thing to, like, if you are really interested in Ladakh and want to go there and planning your next holiday there, I would highly recommend going through his vlog. The next one is Mountain Trekker. I know you may have not heard of all these, most of these people, but they are very good in their own way. Mountain Trekker, the name is slightly misleading. Maybe he started off thinking, that he would focus on trekking, but he does a lot of different destinations. But what he does is, when he goes to a particular destination, he covers everything in that destination. So whether if you are looking at any destination and you're into adventure, you just, he writes about everything. So if you are a foodie, you just look at his food videos. If you're an adventurer, you just look at his adventure, a bit of the destination. So he covers it very well. Then there is Instagram. There are lots of travelers on Instagram. Rishad Sam Mehta, again, he has zoomed in on a particular niche that he wants to specialize in, and he does it very well. He writes about cars and bikes and food, and he doesn't waver at all. He covers a lot of road trips and food. So this is the best go-to place for anything which has anything to do with road travel. And again, Bruce Passports, they are pretty popular. Their travel logging is traveling as a couple and also a lot of luxury. So these are like different, like you can see a variety of things in all these travel logging pieces and loggers. And you can choose, like there are no certain, nothing, you can choose your own niche basically. I want to mention some great travel writers. Of course, very few people read books these days, but these are my favorite travel writers. Bill Bryson, some of his best books are Down Under. I mean, this is like knee slapping funny, you know. Notes from a Small Island, again, very funny. He talks about England, and Thunderbolt Kid. So, yeah, if you're looking for travel writing, which is extremely funny and entertaining, Bill Bryson is the author to go to. Pico Iyer, he is a very, very different writer, very serious, but very in-depth writing. His writing is extremely in-depth. He's written a lot on Japan. Some of his books are Lady and the Monk, Beginner's Guide to Japan, and Video Night in Kathmandu. So again, he's covered a diverse range of destinations. William Dalrymple, of course, he focuses a lot on the history of the destination. That's where he builds his stories on. Some of his best books are In Xanadu, India, and From the Holy Mountain. And John, I don't know if you must have watched two of the movies that have been taken from his book, Into the Wild and Into Thin Air. Both very good books. He largely focuses on adventure. And again, his pieces are extremely absorbing. He is a freelancer, but he's written some travel books. You can specialize. These are just some of the ways in which you can specialize. There are many ways that you can do this, but this is just to give you an idea of what people have done or are doing. You can specialize by region, by focusing just on a specific region or a continent. You can specialize by type, like there are couples or mothers who write only about traveling with kids. So their audience obviously is parents with small kids. You can write about traveling on a budget. You can write about traveling on wheelchairs. You name it. You can specialize in anything. It's about what kind of traveler you are. If you're a luxury traveler, of course, the only thing that you can write about is luxury travel, right? If you're a foodie, you can specialize in food writing. Food is huge right now, you know that. So people go to destinations for its food often, or shopping for that matter. You can specialize by language. There are lots of regional articles, books, newsletters, magazines, YouTube channels, even Instagram pages that focus only on particular languages. So you can build your audience through that. And of course, by platform. Choose whichever you are most comfortable with. Remember, it isn't only about the Instagram-worthy stuff. but it always helps to travel well. Everything doesn't need to look good. I know a lot of things that we see on nowadays online is, good looking photographs, airbrushed photographs, and, luxury. But travel writing is not just about that. It's about the nitty gritty. It's about the small things. It's about experiencing things. So, just remember that you don't have to look good to be good. This is one of my favorite quotes, and I really relate with it. Like all great travelers, I have seen more than I remember and remember more than I have seen. Sometimes you have traveled to so many places that you just forget, oh, what did I see where? Or when did this happen? Or did I really go to this place? That is why logging every little detail in your notepad or diary really helps. That was my last slide. I'm open to questions, but I want to leave you with one question. I would really like to know what was the last destination that you traveled to?
Vikas, you can unmute and ask, or tell us where you traveled to last.
Well, I'm traveling to Goa tomorrow, so I think I should add that first. Anyways, I had a couple of questions, Hazel. Hi, this is Vikas.
Hi, Vikas.
Hi. Although I'm a corporate employee and on the weekends I take time to catch up with my writings at times, it's really great to join the community, and Reuben and Bhumika had been adding a lot of value in the knowledge that I'm trying to acquire. So beautiful slides. I got to learn a little bit new things about writing. I have three questions. The first one, when you say about the first feature of the first input that you gave on about writing, you should be writing first in hand. So can you give me a little more examples of how do we go about that?
Writing in first person, yes. So as you write, you have to, first person is in terms of I went there, or I did that, or I felt that. So it's basically like as if you are talking. That's first person. So it always helps the reader, the reader can relate to you better.
Okay. The following input that you gave, to write always in past tense, right? Back in school, we learned in report writing to write in past tense. Any reason that I'm just curious to know why is that?
So yeah, so like I mentioned, it's not always the rule that you have to follow. You can write in present tense also, but for some reason, travel writing, when I'm reading it as a reader, I always feel that in past tense, I know that the writer has already traveled extensively and then he's writing about it. So he's obviously thought about it. He's added some perspective. It's not like on the fly writing. So I feel like it's just very like psychological. I feel like he's added some more substance, some more perspective, some more ideas to his travel writing. So, and it also reads better. If you think about it, if I'm writing in present tense, like, oh, I'm going here, you obviously know that this has already been published, unless you are somebody who creates content on the fly while you're traveling, like, from moment to moment, then it's different. But largely, travel writing reads better if you are writing in past tense.
Okay. Lastly, I see the internet is evolving, as you mentioned rightly, right? It's not just Instagram, but the website and also other vlogs that we are seeing. So looking at my perspective, I like writing, not just video logging or let's say collecting a lot of photo buckets. Long term, if we see, do we still have the art of people going to the websites and reading the contents, or it's going to die soon, or we're going to all have vlogs around with the tech coming in place? Do you see a good investment? The compounding effect would happen in the future that we see in website writing and so
on? In my opinion, websites will continue because I, as a traveler, always prefer, when I do Google searches, I do refer to websites extensively. I think they bring in some sort of authenticity and credibility, which I, as a traveler, am looking for. So I don't think it'll die down in the near or even far future, but it may evolve in form in some way. But no, I think if you are looking to invest in something like that, I think you should go ahead for sure.
Mhm. Cool, cool. That's it. That's it from my side.
Great. Thank you, Vikas.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Bhumika, I think you had a question, right?
I have a couple actually.
Please go ahead.
So the first one was uh, during COVID. How was it? Like, what were you doing then? Because you had to travel to write, right? So how was it like for you?
It was tough. Like everybody else, I couldn't travel for the longest time. But because I'm part of the industry, I know that a lot of destinations were doing webinars, which were also showcasing the destination. Sometimes it was, and a lot of destinations at that time installed live cameras in different touristic places. So you could, like you could do armchair traveling at that time. Of course, it's not the same as travel, but like it kept us going. And then, of course, all of us started with nearby, close by driving distance destinations. But yeah, for the longest time, I couldn't travel at all. So I kept myself occupied by looking at these, virtual cameras that were installed, like looking at the destination virtually.
Okay. I'll go with the second one. What's the unglamorous, like maybe two or three things that's unglamorous about travel?
Oh my God, so many. Flight delays, flight cancellations. It's not a happy situation to be in. Because especially if you have connecting flights, it's like like your nightmare come true. Secondly, if you forget something, especially your passport, back and you've left that place, that can be a nightmare. I have almost left my passport in a bus in South Korea, and there is a huge language problem. There was no way I could have gotten it back, and I was heading to the airport. So, and another instance is when we had rented a car in Europe, and while handing the keys back, so it was a drop box because it was early morning and our flight was in a couple of hours at the airport. We dropped off the keys and then realized that one of our backpacks was still in the car with the cash, the cards, the passport. So that was a nightmare. So yeah, forgetting things is not pretty at all. What else? Not finding vegetarian food is also pretty tough, but still that's manageable, I would say.
Okay. I think there's one major question that I want to ask. There's a lot of conversation happening about traveling mindfully and sustainably. What like I mean I'll keep it open ended. What's your like how do you do that, or what is your advice for people that are you know trying to achieve that, because it's very difficult even in our day-to-day life. It's difficult, so how do you do that when you travel?
I totally agree with you. There are some things that you cannot do away with while you're traveling, particularly flights, which are the biggest reasons for carbon emissions. Whatever you say and do, you cannot do away with flights. You have to take them, right? But if you're going to close by places, maybe you can avoid flights. I would always suggest travelers to take their own water bottles, maybe travel with cups, not use too many disposable items, not buy stuff from that destination and then like leave it or throw it. If you can use it, please carry it with you or don't buy at all. So, I mean, these are the things that you can do even in your home, right? So, yeah, these are the things I would recommend. A lot of the places nowadays, whether it's Asia or Europe, or anywhere else, they use a lot of disposable cups for coffee and tea, for beverages. I would say if you can request them to avoid doing that, or sit in the cafe or restaurant and have it there rather than doing a takeaway, that would really be helpful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it on my end. If there are any other questions from others, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I have a question, Hazel. So I mean, when people think travel or writing about travel, they think about international destinations. But there is so much that one can, even 50 kilometers away from your house. So what's your take on that? I mean, international versus local versus national, across cities, across states.
Absolutely, you're right. You can write about anything, whether it's in your own city or something which is driving distance away or even walking distance away. Why not, right? So it really depends on how creative you are in looking for things and places to write about. I could write about even a nice garden that I have close to my house. It'll be of interest to somebody somewhere in India or abroad, right? If they do travel to my city. So there are no limitations on what you can travel. The roadside dosa wala is something that you can chronicle. Why not?
Yeah. So my follow-up question on this is then how do you decide? Do you decide based on my personal choice, or do I decide what to write on? How do I decide what to write on based on my choice, or what I think my audience would want to read?
I would say be true to yourself, and whatever you find interesting, you write about that, because that's when the writing comes the best. But of course, sometimes if you have a following, you have a subscriber base, you do have to cater to your audience as well, play to the gallery. So sometimes you have to like compromise a little, maybe cover shopping, even if you don't like it, but you still cover it in some way for your audience. But I would say the best writing comes when you're being true to yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Partha, please go ahead.
Yes,
Yes.
Partha.
Hi.
Hi.
Your session was very insightful and interesting. I have just
Thank you.
one thing to suggest or comment or something like that, because you stressed on first person approach while writing about something. But I have seen a different approach working in some of the regional languages. Because I'm a Bengali, and we
Hmm.
travel a lot. So there are several
True.
Bengali travel magazines. So they take a different approach totally, and it works.
Hmm.
But yes, it started with first person around 2 decades ago, but it started evolving as the industry evolved. And also, when I see the same people who were writing earlier now have transformed themselves, and they are doing video blogging. They are not using first person because that's too much of I. So
True.
when you say like when you used आपको अगर ये अच्छा लगता है तो आप ये जगह विजिट कर सकते हो, it becomes more personalized, and the person who is watching or hearing, they feel a little bit involved. Yes, we can do. So I think it will be a mixture of the approach. Like आपके पास अगर कुछ assignment आता है तो you have to think of what audience I am targeting, and then you can uh, move ahead with whatever you want to do.
I totally agree
That's
with you, Partha. Absolutely. Great point. It was just, it's not a rule as such, but it's the, if you want to start writing about travel, it's an easier form to start with. And then, of course, as you evolve as a traveler, you also evolve as a writer.
sure.
Thanks. I think that evolution of tone is something that we discussed in our last session, and it's actually a very important aspect of writing that we forget. And what the writer who we were 10 years back or even a year back is very different from who we are currently. So that evolution, I think, is what Partha spoke of. Rashmi, please go ahead. You can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Yeah, so Hazel, my question is like threefold. I wanted to know about travel journalism as a career option. I wanted to know what inspired you to get into this profession, and how easy or difficult is it, to land a job in this area. Um, and also, is it something that most people pursue part time? Like, I mean, or is it like a viable option as a career, given that you've been in it for so long?
So long. That was fourfold actually, but yeah, happy to answer all of them. Travel writing as a career. To be honest, writing as a career is not that remunerative. We would know that, right? All of us. But it's very satisfying, especially if you're a very creative person. Um, you can either work 9 to 5 with a company, a media house, or you can start by yourself, or you can freelance. So it depends, what you are doing. If you're working by yourself, if you're starting your own brand, your own blog, it's quite tough because there's a lot of competition right now. So you cannot expect, money coming in right away. You really have to build your brand, you have to invest in it, you have to really work hard to build it. So that's tough. But if you're working with a media house, it can be quite rewarding as well. You can get good travel gigs as well, and it's largely for free. So you get to travel also. Once you've built your brand, when people start taking notice, a lot of these destinations, airlines, hotels, they once you start coming into their radar, they will come and invite you to visit them or to host you. Then you can start earning some sort of money. But then again, a lot of people do not pay if they're hosting you. Unless you are like really, really big, you're an influencer, you're like a page 3 celebrity, then they will pay you. So yeah, it's quite a tough scenario. I got into travel by fluke. I actually first got into writing, and then I realized while I was also traveling parallelly, I realized that I want to write about travel because it will make me very happy. And fortunately, I got a job in travel writing. So that was totally by fluke, and I got very lucky. Sorry, what was that third question?
Yeah, I mean, how do I land a job in travel? Like, what kind of skills do I need?
You can do a course in journalism. You can do your masters in English, or masters in any other language that you want to specialize in. You can do BMM and then get a job in a media house. I would always suggest that you start with a media house because you learn a lot about not just writing, but about how the industry works, about how travel writing, editing, page layout, designing, everything works. It's a good learning curve. So it's better to start off that. And then once you build your connects to the travel industry, once you know how it functions, you know the nitty-gritties of travel, then you can move on to maybe build your own website or build your own brand. But like Vikas is doing, he's a corporate, he's in corporate, but he's, looking to start his own blog. You can even do that. But initially, of course, you will have to invest a lot of time and effort and money, and then maybe you can see the returns if you're good.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, Maria.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for the session. It was really great.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, so currently we see that on Instagram, the influencers, they also start vlogging about their travels. And also to an extent, we know that their travel is also sponsored. So
Yeah.
does that also come under travel logging?
Yes, it doesn't matter how you are in that destination, as long as you're travel logging or you're showcasing what you're experiencing in a destination. That's travel logging. Now, if it is, would you say, staged, then I'm not so sure. But if it's organic and they are creating it by themselves, then yes, I would call it travel logging.
So does the credibility over there actually affect the viewers or the readers? Because I know that this trip is sponsored, so they have to tell good things about the entire trip, right?
True. So you take it with a pinch of salt, I would say, because and like everybody knows influencers and that it's largely paid. So you take it with a pinch of salt. Their job is to inspire you to get to that destination, and if you're even starting to consider that, their job is done. So I don't think their job is to showcase the destination holistically. It's only to inspire people to get there. And yeah, so I don't think they have the onus of showcasing the true face of that destination.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any more questions?
I think we're out of time as well. So,
Okay.
Bhumika, over to you.
Okay. So thank you so much, Hazel, for sharing uh, so much about your journey and how we all can, if we aspire to start something in travel content, to show us the way, basically. So we do this meetup every month. We bring on new speakers every month, and yeah, we will look forward to the next session. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in on a Saturday morning. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thanks, Hazel. It was a great session, and we all travel, but we don't know necessarily how to log those travels. So, thanks for teaching us that. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll see you at the next meetup.
Thank you, Reuben.
Thank
Absolutely
Thank
my
you.
you.
pleasure to be here.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye, everyone.